The outstanding Stoic philosopher Epictetus once remarked, "The secret is to surround yourself only with people who inspire you and whose presence calls forth your best." You've probably heard the adage, "You're the average of 5 people you spend your most time with." Today, we will explore that idea through a Stoic lens. We will discuss the 7 types of people who can derail your progress in Stoic philosophy and how to navigate these difficult relationships. Before we start, I would appreciate it if you could like the video so that you can help me teach spreading the Stoic course. Type of people number 1, the complainant. We all have that friend, family member, or co-worker who seems to find fault in everything, whether it's the weather, their job, or even the food at a popular restaurant. Now, you might wonder why this should worry me. While that's easier said than done, your mental health is drained by constant exposure to such negativity. It's like a leaky faucet gradually emptying your emotional energy supply. How does Stoicism help us deal with a complainer? First, limit your exposure to this individual whenever you can. If that's not possible, perhaps because they're a family member or colleague, then your second option is to mentally distance yourself during their diatribes. Consider their criticisms to be a passing storm that is noisy and uncomfortable, but ultimately fleeting and helpless against the immovable mountain that is your own inner peace. Your third choice is to encourage solutions or to shift the topic to something more positive. To quote Marcus Aurelius, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This timeless Stoic wisdom exhorts us to carefully protect our mental tranquility so that the negativity of persistent complainers doesn't divert us from our Stoic path of resilience and virtue. Type of people number 2, the drama magnet. Imagine yourself navigating your life as if it were a ship sailing over calm waters, but then you come across the drama magnet, a whirlpool who appears to have an endless stream of crises, conflicts, or controversies, and who, like a whirlpool, has the unnerving ability to draw you into their vortex of chaos. What makes dealing with drama magnets so difficult is that their crises can often feel like your own. Their chaos is contagious. You may even find yourself entangled in conflicts that you had no initial part in. You may first find yourself drawn to the drama magnet's energy, mistaking it for passion or excitement. But you'll soon realize that being in their spheres is like navigating a ship through a storm, exhausting and dangerous. In this situation, you could use a technique called reflective listening, instead of giving advice or taking sides. For instance, if your friend says they can't believe Jimmy said that about me, you could respond with, "So you're feeling betrayed by Jimmy's words." This technique allows you to offer emotional support without getting entangled in the drama yourself. Today, they're not talking to Jimmy. Tomorrow, it's David. Your friend comes to you for advice, but you notice that this cycle never ends, and suddenly you find yourself also at odds with Jimmy or David because you tried to intervene. Another strategy, and one that may seem contradictory, is to become selectively unavailable. Skeptics teach us to respect our time, and occasionally that means not being there for other people when they are having problems that never seem to go away. Unplug your phone at specific hours. Establish focus periods when you give your work or personal growth your whole attention and communicate that, to borrow Seneca's words, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. This is especially useful when dealing with drama magnets. Instead of worrying about what will happen next, focus on the present, where you have power. Don't let the drama of someone else to ruin the enjoyment of your life. Make a point of sailing your ship steadily, avoiding whirlpools that might jeopardize your journey toward peace and personal development. Type of people number 3, the naysayers. See yourself as an artist creating a canvas where every brushstroke gives your vision more depth and life. Enter the naysayer. They enter your studio, look at your work, and start criticizing it right away. You know, most artists never get it right. Their words, strokes of gray paint, start to dull your vibrant canvas. This isn't your typical constructive criticism, which can be helpful instead. For example, if you're excited about pursuing a new career path, you've done your research, spoken to professionals in the field, and maybe even taken a few preliminary courses. When you share your enthusiasm with the naysayer, they quickly list all the reasons it won't work out. The market is too competitive. You don't have the right skills. If you fail soon enough, their doubts start to feel like your own. When someone you know well starts to doubt your vision, how do you deal with them? One unusual but successful strategy is to ask them for advice, instead of just telling them about your goals or plans. When someone is placed in an advisory position, they are less likely to criticize your ideas directly and may provide more helpful criticism. Using a strategy known as constructive confrontation, one may also turn the script rather than taking in their negativity. Get them to come up with answers. If they tell you that at this point you can't change jobs, counter from an intriguing angle. Remember the words of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This not only deflects the criticism, but also fosters a more productive kind of debate. Listening does not include taking in everyone's bad vibes. When the doubters begin to cloud your canvas with their shades of doubt, stand back, listen, and keep painting your own life with the colors that speak to you. Don't allow anybody convert your colorful masterpiece into a drab gray landscape. 4th kind of people, the unfortunate person. Picture life is like a game of chess. Everyone has the same pieces and the same objective of checkmate the king of the other side. You must strategically make certain risks and sacrifices, but the victim holds the board, the pieces, or even their opponent responsible for every bad decision they make, since, in their view, some outside force is always working against them, and they are always in checkmate. They are the powerless protagonist of an endless story of woe. The victim we're talking about uses their situation as a permanent excuse, refusing to take any responsibility for their actions or lack thereof. It's important to note that some people face real hardships and systemic issues. You might find yourself entangled in their storyline, perhaps as the supporting character who constantly needs to rescue them. I can't get ahead in my job because my boss dislikes me, or I can't get fit because I have bad genetics. What should you do when dealing with a victim? The Stoics would advise against becoming their savior, offering endless advice and emotional support. Instead, they would advise drawing a firm boundary to protect your own mental state. Let's say you've spent countless hours listening to a friend blame their endless string of failed relationships entirely on their ex-partners. This sucks up your time and can also quietly encourage you to adopt a similar victim mindset in your own life. You may use something called compassionate detachment. Give them a sympathetic ear, but don't attempt to pull them out of circumstances they need to handle on their own. Don't try to be their perpetual problem solver. The best retaliation, according to Marcus Aurelius, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. If you find yourself drawn into the victim story, fight the want to become one yourself. Take charge of your own board and make your moves. Remember that in the chess game of life, being in checkmate is frequently a choice rather than a fate. Play for development and knowledge rather than retaliation or sympathy, and keep your pieces going ahead as required. Type of people number 5, the poisonous optimists, the ones that encourage you to just be cheerful during a trying time, dismissing your emotions and experiences with a flip-flopped wave of glittering optimism. See your life as a garden with flowers and weeds and insects. But a poisonous positivism would have you ignore everything that isn't a rose in bloom. If you have aphids on your leaves, simply concentrate on the flowers and keep negativity out of your garden. I would say, even if their approach seems positive, it might leave you feeling devalued and cut off from reality. Suppose you're going through a difficult breakup, are depressed, confused, and are looking for some emotional equilibrium. The poisonous positivist will say to simply smile and be cheerful, since there are lots of fish in the sea. This kind of too optimistic thinking ignores the complexity of human feeling and the difficulties that exist in life. One way to grow your garden without letting the poisonous positivists trample it with their indiscriminate sprinkling of good vibes is to have a conversation with them that embraces both light and shadow. If they say, "Look on the bright side, at least you have your health," you can respond, "Yes, I am appreciative of my health, but it is also okay for me to be unhappy about this particular problem." Give your complex emotions some thought and categorize them. X has made me a little depressed today, and that's good. Using Stoic thought as a reference may be a freeing statement. Seneca once stated, "True happiness is to understand our duties toward God and man, to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future." Notice the balance, knowing tasks which aren't always good and appreciative of the present. A Stoic attitude does not mean concentrating just on the good or the bad. It's about accepting the complexity of life with equanimity. Thus, the next time the poisonous positivists toss their confetti over your well-manicured garden, stand back and remember that a garden needs both sunshine and rain to thrive. Accept your whole emotional range and continue to tend to your garden with the richness and complexity it deserves. Type of people number 6, the manipulator. Imagine your life to be a movie screenplay in which you are the lead character and know how the plot should develop, including the identities of your teachers and allies, and the final act. Enter the manipulator, a shadowy producer who quietly rewrites your script without you even noticing it until one day you discover your plot has gone off course. Skilled in emotional or psychological manipulation, the manipulator may use flattery, guilt trips, or even dishonesty to sway you in their favor. You may have a buddy who consistently gets you to pay for dinner by saying something like, "You know, I've been having a rough month, and you're so successful." It wouldn't mean anything to you, but it would make my day. You eventually realize that someone has taken advantage of your kindness, but it's awkward to call them out because they presented it as a help to a buddy in need. Managing a manipulator may be difficult. One way to fight their strategies is what some professionals refer to as fogging, which is accepting any truth in the manipulator's words, but refusing to be swayed by emotional pressure. You may remark, "You're right, I've been doing well, but let's split the bill as we usually do. If they said you're so successful, you should cover supper." If the manipulator wants you to owe them money or commit to jobs you're uncomfortable with, another strategy is to establish and stick to clear limits. Learn how to say no politely. Draw inspiration from Stoic philosophy and maintain a calm tone, and make it plain that you are here to provide emotional support but cannot grant money. Epictetus cautioned us that we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Remember that you are the one holding the pen. Your storyline is yours to write. And while the cast may include a variety of characters, the protagonist's journey should always be guided by your own values and decisions. The manipulator thrives on your predictable reactions. They manipulate your kindness, your guilt, or your desire for approval. By choosing to respond differently, you are taking control of your script again. Type of people. Number 7, the time zombies. See your daily routine as a well-composed symphony in which each instrument represents a duty or commitment, and when played together, they create a harmonious balance. But then the zombie joins in, screeching off key, drowning out your melody and turning your lovely composition into discordant noise. Take back your script and don't let anyone manipulate your life story. Time zombies are not always bad. In fact, they can be quite benign. They could be a friend who invites you to a lot of social events that you don't want to attend and drains your time and energy. These encounters may seem insignificant at the time, but the cumulative impact can be quite disruptive. How can you prevent a time zombie from ruining your symphony? One useful time management technique is the Pomodoro technique, which divides your work into 25-minute segments, usually broken up by brief breaks. During these times, you clearly indicate that you are not to be bothered. This creates a barrier to keep your most productive periods from being eaten away. If you end yourself interacting with a social zombie, recall that saying no is not just okay, but necessary for your well-being. Rather than coming up with complex justifications, just say you are grateful for the invitation, but unable to make it work. According to Seneca, life, if well lived, is long enough. Refusing an invitation is an affirmation of your own needs and priorities. Stoicism teaches us that time is one of our most valuable resources and should be allocated wisely. It is the canvas upon which we paint the portrait of our lives. We should be very selective about who and what deserves a stroke of our brush in the grand composition of your life. Make sure each note, each instrument, each melody aligns with your greater purpose. Hold the baton firmly and lead your life with purpose so that every moment is a note skillfully played in your harmonic masterpiece. Don't let the loud intrusion of a time zombie throw your symphony into chaos. As we come to the end of our investigation into the personalities that might obstruct our way to Stoic resilience and wisdom, let's not forget that self-awareness is essential. While it's simple to spot these kinds in others, the more difficult and illuminating work is to read ourselves. Remember that Stoicism isn't just about navigating the world. It's also about understanding and improving ourselves. If today's conversation has sparked a realization, an epiphany, or even just a little introspection, I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. Write your thoughts, share your stories, and let's have a conversation that will benefit us all. Until then, may your decisions be in line with your values. May the masterpiece you are supposed to produce in life be your life, and may your deeds mirror your wisdom.